I'm Sabrina and welcome to my channel where we explore the various sides of fashion, style, and travel that aren't commonly highlighted. My goal is to make fashion more diverse, accessible, and playful. Make sure you subscribe so you never miss a notification for new videos. Talk to you soon. Hey everyone, it's Sabrina. Today we are visiting M&S Schmalberg. You may not have heard of the name, but you've certainly seen their beautiful handmade custom flowers on Beyonce, Rihanna, Lebron James, even strutting down the Victoria's Secret runway. So we're gonna go in and meet with Adam, who is the heir to the throne of this fourth generation owned company, to give us a tour and tell us more about the company. Come with me.
Welcome to M&S Schmalberg. My name is Adam Brand and this is my family business. Let me show you around. How's that?
Perfect.
Yay! They have a box.
You guys.
Sorry.
Hello.
So here we have our stock room where we have thousands of flowers on hand. The boxes are all sorted by colors and we get clients up here every day. Pam and Lucia right now are working on a client in
New Orleans.
And they're buying, got to be a couple hundred flowers for a shop that they have. And then every few months these guys come back to us and we just send them an assortment of different things. Pam's been working with this guy for years.
Okay.
So she's got a pretty good sense of the things that he likes.
They like, okay. And they're a flower shop.
They're not picky. They're not a flower shop. They make hats and they're in New Orleans, so they do the Mardi Gras, the Jazz Fest, Derby, Mother's Day, Easter.
So we have a lot of these shops around the country that will either email, call us and whatnot, or even come up here once or twice a year and tear through our stock and buy hundreds of flowers, ideally. In addition, we get a lot of people up here that will look through our boxes, and some things we have one piece of, some things we'll have a few of, and we get people that come up here and just buy one or two. In addition, what's really useful about this is when we work with designers, it's a great way to help somebody's vision become a reality.
Sure.
So we just did something a while back with Vera Wang, where the designer reached out to me and she was looking for a parrot tulip. I don't know what a parrot tulip is.
I was just going to say, what's a parrot tulip?
Made at this Pam. So I went online, I found pictures, and in the end I convinced the designer to come up here.
Okay.
And what she did was really cool. She basically pulled different things from different boxes, starting almost with the center like this, and then different poofs to surround it. In the end, she almost created like this flower. There were more things around that. Then we had hibiscus blades, like you see, or teardrops like this. She created this like Frankenstein flower, and I call it that because it was different colors, different fabrics, different shapes.
Completely
it didn't even
custom.
Exactly. It was. She was just showing us what she wanted, and she brought in her silk fabrics. We made a sample, we tweaked it a little bit, and it eventually turned into a style that they ran with. It was on the runway, it was on their website.
That's beautiful.
For a while, if you went to Vera's website, you would see a bunch of models with these huge flowers, and that's where they came from. And that's the design process.
So how much of the designer production is custom like that versus people just sort of coming in and buying what you've already created off the shelf?
So historically, it was all custom.
Okay.
Back when the Garment Center was the manufacturing capital of the world and everything was made here, there were no stock boxes. But little by little, as the world has gone offshore, we've done a lot of these one-offs. We get people that find us online. When we were in the New York Times, we sold a lot on our Etsy's and our website and whatnot. And so we get a lot of people that come here and buy just a few flowers. I mean, we welcome that now. That's a cow load.
How do you or did you learn all the different flower types?
So I went to the Long Island Academy of Flower Manufacturing.
Ooh, I didn't even know there was such a thing.
Oh
my God!
I made it up. So,
am I gullible or what?
Actually, it says gullible on the ceiling.
Not looking up. Good one.
So I went to school for psychology. I've been in and out of this business my whole life.
Yep.
It's funny, when I grew up, my dad was the flower man. And you know, you grow up and your dad is an electrician, a plumber, a doctor, whatever he is, you take it for granted. My dad was the flower man. it never really hit me that he was the only flower man. And about 10 to 12 years ago, I started coming in here, and little by little, I just learned stuff. There's plenty I know. There's plenty I don't know. That's why the internet is a great resource.
Yeah.
When that lady asked for a parrot tulip, first thing I did was pull it up on the computer. Exactly. And I got an idea of what it was. And that's really it. So a lot of our tools, like I know calla lilies because we make them a lot. I know roses because everybody knows what a rose is. But quite often I get emails from people asking about very horticulturally specific flowers. And I look it up. I don't know what it is. Some of our tools in the back are very specific to a style, and some of them are a little more eye of the beholder, abstract.
Sure. How often are you going out to, I'm making this up, the botanic gardens and studying flowers? Or not at all?
Never.
Okay.
So most of what we do when the business is thriving is for production. We get an order, people want us to make something, and we make it for them. And that's good for business because you make it and you get paid.
And you're making it exactly how the client has requested it. Yeah.
And so it's simple. When we're not too busy, we'll make things for the house, which is what this room is, and we have a couple other rooms like that. That's good for a few days, but at some point, you can't just keep making flowers for boxes.
Sure.
So as far as your question about botanical gardens and whatnot, we're always thinking of new designs and new things that we can do. We'll mix a different center. You know, you could put a center like this into a flower like that, and it changes it. Mixing different fabrics together. We're always playing around, especially in the new seasons.
I feel like the options are limitless in terms of what you're able to create and produce.
Between all the different shapes and all the different materials that can be done, it really is limitless. I mean, for example, you have these two are the exact same style, a slightly different shade of blue. You could do that same style in red. You could do that style in leather. You could do it in a Burberry scarf. You could do it from your grandmother's old wedding dress. And that's just one style. So then if you wanted to take a different shape and add it to that style, or do a completely different style, it becomes literally infinite.
Infinite, yeah. What are your most popular styles?
So most popular as far as what I'm selling online, I find the rose, the camellia.
I was gonna guess rose.
The rose is because it's a symbol of love.
Classic, yeah.
It's classic. Camellia is very popular because Chanel has made it that way. Chanel has become known for the camellia.
I don't know what
This is a camellia. We make them in a lot of different colors and shades.
Okay.
We actually used to make them for Chanel, but then they bought a flower factory in Paris, and they don't need us anymore. So their flowers sell for hundreds of dollars. Some of them are over $1,000. Ours don't. And so people are always searching for them, and we get a lot of sales that way.
Where are most of your suppliers based?
So most of our suppliers, it depends. Most of the fabrics that we work with come directly from the client. A lot of fabrics are made in Korea, not North Korea. So I always assumed a lot of fabrics came from China, but a lot of them come from Korea.
I wouldn't have guessed that.
Yeah, the wire we get is all from here. I think it's from Brooklyn. We get pins and stuff. A lot of them are imported because just nobody makes it anymore here. So it's really all around the world. A lot of our suppliers are local shops. Occasionally we'll have different people. We have something we're working on right now that we needed a black silk tool, and I have one of my team members who just ran out to go see if she can find a yard. We'll see what she comes back with.
Let's try to catch her when she runs back in.
Yeah. So we can venture to the back now, and you can see how we start the process. So we have all these other boxes of flowers.
Yeah.
You have prints over there, different wools, cashmeres, tweeds. Everything against this wall is hand dyed in-house, different colors. These are what we call our fun ties. They're petal ties, and they're just a lot of fun. Hence the name.
They are fun colors.
We have leathers, suedes over there.
I see neon
So
popping
top
out
left,
as well.
those are neoprene. That material, we can cut it, we can emboss it, because it doesn't take it well. It's essentially
Come out, yeah.
So what we do is our team members will cut different flower shapes and we'll assemble them by hand to create the additional dimension without actually using our vintage tools. So the process starts back here.
Do things usually pick up this time of year with us heading into Easter season. For you all, it's Easter big. I love the vintage Tony, by the way. Hello.
Hi.
How are you?
Okay.
That's
I'm
better,
Sabrina.
right? Off? Okay. You want to ask the question again? Does it matter?
Oh,
About Easter season?
Easter
I mean, I can
season.
just answer it, but maybe you want to answer it as it on audio.
Do things usually pick up around this time of year heading into Easter season?
So it's funny, you would think that we would get busier in the spring and whatnot,
Yeah.
but it's really completely random. To give you an idea, I was delivering pizza about 20 years ago, and Sex in the City was really popular. And Sarah Jessica Parker comes out wearing these huge flowers.
I can picture that look.
It became a big trend.
Yeah.
And we had rolls of fabric everywhere, just spread around, just waiting to be cut and put through this whole process. Multiple month backlog, incredibly busy. I don't remember what time of the year that was. And I mentioned the pizza delivery because I didn't really like it, and I stopped doing it. And I came in here to help my dad, to help work a little bit before I went back to school.
Okay.
To the Institute of Flower Making on Long Island. So.
Do they offer digital courses?
Oh sure, why not? So it's random. When flowers are in season,
Yeah.
it could be winter, it could be fall, it could be summer. We get a little boost during, like right now it's Derby season.
Yeah.
So all the milliners, the hat makers
Yeah.
are making
Yeah.
their over the top amazing pieces, and
Yeah.
a lot of them love to use flowers, and they come in here.
Okay.
In the holiday season, we get a lot of boosts of online sales, but it's relatively small as far as what it takes to keep this operation running.
Okay.
So the process all starts back here.
Yes.
The first thing that happens is people bring us material.
Okay.
It could be silk organza, it could be a scarf, it could be your grandmother's old wedding dress. Pretty much any material you can think of. And the first thing we do is we take a fabric starch, a stiffener, to give it a little extra body. We submerge it, we wring it out, and we hang it on the wooden frames that you can see right over there. We hang it on those wooden frames to dry. Depending on the type of fabric, some fabrics can dry in an hour or two if it's lightweight. Some fabrics, like a heavy wool, could take hours or even the whole day to dry. Just like drying any fabric. Once the fabric is dry, we head over here and we make the layers of fabric. So this is a white satin. There's probably about 10 pieces here. I realize now that I'm holding it, it's not a satin. Delete the tape!
Blooper reel.
So right here is a blue satin. You can see this layer probably has about 10 pieces here. It's a pretty thick fabric, so you can't really cut through much more than that. You compare that to this. This is a silk sheer organza. It's a very lightweight fabric. So this has been stiffened. It has a little extra body to it.
Yeah, I can feel that.
Something like this, you could cut through 20 pieces at a time. It's still lightweight. So in the old days, you would take a tool from here, one of our different die cutters. Most of them are give or take 100 years old. These things have been around forever. So back in the day, they all had a stem like that. And you would take a rubber hammer, you'd put it on top of a layer of fabric, and you'd swing really hard. And you would cut out a flower pattern. So I've seen Alex, who does most of our cutting, do that on occasion for 5 or 6 flowers. You can imagine doing that for an order of 1,000 flowers.
I cannot.
By the time you're done, one of your arms will be bigger than the other one.
That's right.
As long as I've been alive.
But all you had to do is just even it out on both sides. You can become ambidextrous and then...
That's true, and then you'll just be all jacked up. So as long as I've been alive, we take the tools that have been around forever, and we'll actually take a saw and cut the stem off. And we use these clicking machines over here. So this machine, you push a button and it comes down with more power than obviously anybody's arm. So it's faster, it's more efficient, it's safer as long as you don't put your hand under there, of course. And it's just all around better, but still using these tools that have been in the family forever. So you put it on top of a layer of fabric like that, and you pull it over. Simple enough.
Oh yeah.
And you get a stack of petals like this, cookie cut, in whatever shape you pick.
Very cool.
So So you can see there's no detail yet.
No.
They're just cookie cut, they're just flat.
Yep.
This is a silk satin based organza, which is a little heavier than that fabric from before.
And so any one of these could work with this machine. This machine is powerful to handle.
Yes.
Powerful enough to handle.
So
any
you
of
can
these.
hear the difference when working with a lighter one like this versus a heavier tool, like something like any of these over here. You can hear it's
Ooh, these are
it
heavy.
requires more power to cut through it. So some shapes like the daisy I just cut, we have a lot of different sizes. Some shapes like the hydrangea snowflakes down there, we have one or two, and that's it. So a lot of different tools we have are one of a kind.
Are you creating any more of these?
Any of the molds that look old like this and look like they have history to them do,
Yep.
and they've been around forever.
Yep.
We can have steel rule dies made, which you can see over here. This is a steel rule die. It is essentially a steel ruler melted around a shape to create whatever shape you need. It's sharp, it's just as sharp as the other tools, and it'll cut the same quality of flour. It's just not as visually impressive as far as history, and it's not as heavy.
No, not
But
at
yes, we can have these made.
all. Okay.
The molds, which is where we do the texture, nobody makes those anymore. And I'll show you over here what I mean by that.
Okay.
After cutting a flat pedal like that, we take any of these different vintage molds. Some of them have lines like that. Some of them are much smoother like this. There's hundreds of them here. And there's no formula as far as what goes in what. You could take that daisy pedal we cut and you can put it in here and you'll get some really cool veining.
Yeah.
So you can mix and match the different dyes, the different veiners all day long to create new shapes.
How do you keep track of all of the different molds and options? And
Sure.
is there an inventory process? Because there's so many beautiful options, but how do you know what
So-
you're working with?
So
What your
we-
options are?
Step one, of course, is put things back where you found them.
Yes.
So, for example, you have all the daisies over here. If you take one of them out, you put them back here.
Got
It
it.
doesn't have to be in the same spot, but at least put it on the same shelf.
Okay.
In addition, a lot of them have names to them. In addition, a lot of them have names to them. Like, for example, this is our large chrysanthemum. You can see it's written on top. Some of the names are obvious, like in this case, it's a large chrysanthemum.
Sure.
In other cases, they have names based on clients we worked with once. Some of them have just letters on them. We have a J9 cutter because it has J9 written on it.
Okay.
So if I make a flower, I might write that it has 6 petals of the large chrysanthemum cut and then pressed in, and I could pick any veiner I want. So it could be the large chrysanthemum pressed in the 486. So now I know the recipe to cut the flowers, and then I would just write how many of each are used to actually put it together. So anytime we make something, we try to write as much detail as we can,
Sure.
so that when you try and order them a year from now, I can make them.
Got it. Got it. Okay.
So we have this flat pedal now, and we're going to go over here to the flower press.
Okay.
So I'll give you a little off-the-record interesting thing.
Yep.
This is a gas press. It's supposed to have a gas stove underneath. Be careful, that's hot. It's supposed to have a gas stove underneath, which is how it heats the tools up, which would be really cool for him to get, but the gas in our building is out.
Oh
So this thing doesn't work, which is why I'm using a coffee pot to heat the tools.
no. Gotta love New York City.
It was a minor gas leak, and Con Ed is just dragging their feet getting it fixed.
Sounds
So
about
it's
right.
a lot of inefficiency, but what are you going to do? The show must go on.
That's right.
So here's where we take the flat pedals and we use our different vintage tools to create the veining that you see. So in this case, I have a veiner that's a perfect fit. Because we're working with silk, I could do a few petals. If it was a leather or velvet, we would have to do one at a time because the heat makes them stick to each other. So here you put it on top, and the combination of the heat, the pressure, and that starching from before lets the petal take whatever texture and shape we try to give it.
Wow, that was super quick. You didn't even have to hold it under there. You just pressed it once and
Nice and easy.
Yeah. Beautiful. And it will hold like that
It'll
until
hold
the end
like
of
that.
time because of the starch
Yep.
and the heat.
I'll do one more so you can get it. So some of our tools have a perfect fit like this. But remember, you can take any different veiner you want and you'll get some different level of detail. Because this one is a perfect fit that's designed to go in there, you have that line going up and down just like that, and it's perfect.
That's beautiful. And so you describe this as a vintage tool. Approximately how old are these tools?
These tools, like those tools, like this machine, are give or take 100 years old. Some of them are more.
And what's the maintenance and upkeep like for these types of vintage tools?
So the molds, if used properly, will last beyond my lifetime. This machine is as simple as it looks, as far as any person who's handy can fix it as it's needed. You need a little oil just to help with the sliding process. The die cutting machines over here they're motors. So any mechanic who knows how to open a car and fix it can fix that. Alex has been with us a long time, so he's become pretty knowledgeable about these things.
Are they pretty reliable in the sense that they're not breaking down? Or...
They don't break down. So I mentioned before that we don't have any gas in our building, that we can't use this. I don't know if that's worth mentioning in the video because it's silly, but for your information, we have these electric presses over here. We've had these electric presses for about 30 years or so. It uses the same tools that have been in the family forever, with a few caveats. Any of the tools that have the little stem sticking out on top, like this, have been retrofitted to go in there. So anyone that has that little stem on top. The nice thing about this is there's no gas stove, so it's a lot less radiating heat in the summer. It's just an electric hot plate. It also helps when there's no gas in the building.
Right.
It's perfectly mechanical, so you don't have to pick up and put down the tools, some of which can be really heavy.
Yeah.
And also you talked about the wear and tear on them. Because it's a perfect mechanical fit, you never have to worry about any of the clanging of missing as you're trying to put it in.
Curious, where do you source these machines?
The history. So this machine was made by the same person who made that. You can see on the side it says Mold Incorporated. That was an old, I don't think they exist anymore, but they used to have a shop that made these machines. They made the molds, and he invented this. This is a hydraulic press that was definitely meant for something else. And this guy was a handy guy. He retrofitted it and he made it do this. So this is an electric press. It's very similar to what I did over there, but in a more automated sense. So you take a pedal and you put it in here. It's safe. You have to use two hands. Got to be careful, and you can see that's how it gets all the veining. So take a couple more, put it in there. These are for Oscar de la Renta.
Oh, that's huge.
This is from the previous runway. We made these small orchid flowers. And this is a production order. I think there's about 100 flowers on there.
Do the brands and designers mind that we're filming this? These like trade secrets?
So each designer is different. It's
Yeah.
interesting. We were interviewed by the New York Times a few months ago.
Yeah.
And you never know who's going to walk in here and what projects we're going to be working on.
Yeah.
And he had the benefit of seeing a lot of really cool designers. I'll just leave it at that. And when it came time to publishing the article, none of them wanted their names included.
Yeah.
So he had to be very general.
Uh-huh.
But it is what it is. It's part of it. It's part of the process.
Yeah.
Some designers are proud to say that they still manufacture here in the city.
That's right. Yeah.
And some of them like to keep their secrets secret.
Mm-hmm.
Each their own.
Okay. So it's okay if we leave in the Oscar de la Renta?
Yeah.
Okay. That's a huge brand. That's really, really cool.
So once the petals are cut,
Yep.
so once the petals are cut, some of our clients will take them and stitch them onto garments. So you could take hundreds of petals like this, maybe twist them like that to create a different dimension. Other clients will have us assemble them into flowers. So we're going to go now to where our team sits and puts them all together.
Awesome.
You can follow me. So here's one of our vintage flower tools.
Woo-wee!
Been in the family for 100 years or so.
Getting in my workout, y'all.
So give me 50 squats.
I don't know if I'd be able to make it through the day if I did 50 squats. That probably weighs at least 50, 60 pounds.
I would have said at least 40, and you might be right.
Yeah. It's heavy.
For showmanship, I picked one of the heavy ones.
Yeah. How many molds do you all have?
Probably around 1,000 or so. Probably around 1,000 cutters, 1,000 molds, give or take. So here, the ladies will take any of the different petal shapes and they mix and they match to make all the flowers that you see around us. There's a lot of different techniques that they'll use. Sometimes what they'll do is they'll make a petal tie. So they'll take a few petals like this.
Start that one over here.
So sometimes they'll make a petal tie where they'll take a few petals like this and put them back to back. And then pretty simply fold it once, fold it again, and you create this little poof like that. Now that's the same technique that goes into the center of this flower. So after this dries, they would just put a few more of the petals flat in the back and you would have a finished piece. So that's a simple flower in that it uses a technique that I can actually do.
I was going to say, I think I could even do that.
Maybe.
It wouldn't look nearly as pristine, but...
As we get into a little more detail, sometimes our team will make a bud. This is a camellia bud. This is something I'm not very good at. The technique or the idea behind it is they'll take a petal like this. This is a rosebud petal, but the technique is the same. They basically cup them up. Reminder, I'm not very good at this. And they cup it up like that with a little glue in it. I don't know if you want to zoom in on that.
I think it looks awesome.
And once you have a center, you can take any different petals you want to make a finished piece. So we could take these petals that we cut in the back, put a little glue on the inside, slide them up the stem like that. Same idea, a little more glue. And the beauty of it is that you could really mix and match anything you want.
Anything, yeah.
You asked before about different styles. It's infinite. This is something that we just created together with a white satin bud, satin face organza daisies in the back. If we wanted to make it even bigger and sillier, we could take some of these rose petals. And the same thing. It doesn't matter if the colors go together. It doesn't matter if the shapes are the same, the materials, you can mix and match anything. The flowers around here are just a taste of what's possible. So that's a silk habitat, it's like a China silk.
What's the training process like in terms of learning how to create?
So what we do is essentially an assembly line. If you think about it, each part, each thing is its own thing. Me personally, I've on occasion will cut flowers. I've sat at the presses and done the embossing. I never sit here and do this because I just don't really have the talent, the skills to do it. Each part of the business has its own learning process. These ladies have all been doing this a really long time. If we were to have somebody new working here, we actually have an intern who's been here once a week and is learning some of this stuff. And they give her simple things to do.
Yeah.
They might give her a pedal tie to start with, like that thing I just did.
Yeah.
And you may not get to doing a bud until later on,
Sure.
as you become better at it.
Yeah, so it's just hands-on, starting from the ground up and just
Exactly.
learning.
You take the Vera Wang flower, which has a lot of different shapes all mixed together, and I certainly wouldn't give that to someone on their first day. You just teach little by little. So in the old days, there used to be a big labor union with a lot of different people from flower factories and other factories around the city. And little by little, as production has gone offshore and these factories closed, these unions have shrunk. So in the old days, if we needed more help, we could go to the union and say we need a couple people to help with our die cutting or our assembly, because this was a craft. Whereas now it's just not like that anymore.
Yeah.
So really, we've had family and friends come. We have, like I mentioned, an intern right now. It's hard to find new help.
Okay. That's interesting.
You got to go to that Long Island School of Flower Making.
I'm gonna enroll after
Yes,
this.
for sure.
So how long have these beautiful women been working here?
Pretty much everybody that you've seen here today has been here at least 10 years.
Oh wow. Okay, so veterans.
Veterans.
At
Mary
their
over
craft.
there. I don't
Yeah.
want to date her, but she has been here longer than I've been alive. Making flowers.
That's talent. I mean,
She knows what she's doing.
yeah. And that's the uniqueness of coming into the garment district and visiting the factories, is seeing this amazing talent
For
that
sure.
you just don't see anywhere else. And it's important to preserve it, right?
Trying our best.
Yeah. Which, to your point, kudos to you that you have an intern who's coming in and she can pick up the skill and the knowledge.
Yeah, we'll see where it leads.
Yeah.
We've had people here from FIT and some of the other local
I
fashion
was going to
schools.
ask if you partner with some of the schools. Yeah.
But they were more of the business side of the business rather than the actual manufacturing.
Okay. So then do you work at all with the Garment District Alliance to help in terms of like the talent side, to keep a pipeline of folks?
We haven't
coming?
really.
Okay. I'm just curious to know what their role is,
Yeah.
if at all. Got it.
Any questions?
Okay. You can keep going.
Okay. That's it. That's the factory. Okay. Oh, okay. Well, one more thing. So once the ladies are done here, you have different flowers that are put on a wire like this. They hang to dry. All the flowers in all the boxes I showed you before are on wires like that. So some people will take them just like that. Quite often we'll cut the wire and we'll put a pin or a hair clip. We could do flowers on a long stem like you see over here. We've done a lot of custom wedding bouquets. That's become a big part of our business. We could put flowers on magnets. We could do flower crowns. We can do flowers on a napkin ring. We've done flowers for window displays, so they will just cut the back so it has nothing. We've done flowers. We've done projects where interior designers will send us curtains or linens from the windows, and we'll make flowers to match, either for a centerpiece or for pillows or anything you could think of, just to help bring it together.
What's the most unique application of flowers you've done that you're aware of?
I've been asked questions like that in a lot of different senses, and my answer is always different. The one that comes to mind right now is a client we work with. The company is Eagles and Angels. The guy's name is Tom.
I knew it was going to be something animals. I was going to guess dogs.
Well, the company name is Eagles and Angels.
Oh, okay.
We don't make flowers out of dogs.
Not
So this guy Tom, he's a veteran. He's
Okay.
a soldier. He served in Afghanistan.
Okay.
And he had a vision of taking old garments from Eagles, they're soldiers who are still alive, and Angels, soldiers that are deceased, and making things out of their uniforms, like bow ties, pocket squares, socks, anything you can imagine for menswear.
Okay.
Where do we fit in? Lapel flowers. So he would give us uniforms, we'd make as many as we could out of it, and he would sell them on his website. Obviously it's limited edition because you can only get 10 flowers or whatever you get.
Sure.
And he would put the story about the guy who wore it or the girl who wore it, and he donated a significant portion to charity. I thought that was a really cool project.
That is very cool.
We did a project once. We've done a lot of personal projects for weddings, which I like because they have a meaning to them.
Sure.
And we had one where a girl reached out to us that her husband's best man passed away tragically, weeks before the wedding. And she brought us one of his shirts, and we cut flowers out of it, and all the groomsmen wore a little lapel flower made from it. sucks, but
Yeah.
it's a cool project.
Yeah.
So I like things
Sentimentality.
that have a sentimentality. We made a wedding bouquet once for a bride who had her grandmother's wedding dress, and she brought it to us, and we cut a bunch of flowers and then had our team put it together to make her bouquet. I thought that was amazing.
Yeah.
You want to pay homage to your family, but you
Yeah.
probably don't want to wear your grandma's wedding dress. So what do?
Sure.
Bring it to me, I'll make flowers.
This gives me an idea because my grandmother passed maybe 3 years ago, and my aunt sent me some of her old clothes, blazers and things,
Yeah.
which I haven't been sure what to do with. But I love the idea now of
Sure.
transforming them
Into a bouquet, into a flower stem, into a
Yeah.
brooch, anything.
And the irony is that the blazer that is sticking out of my mind is actually flower patterned itself.
So it's
So-
to fit.
Yeah, it's perfect.
perfect.
Yes. Okay, that'll be our part 2.
I love it.
Awesome. Okay.
Hey, thanks for watching. Don't forget to subscribe, like, and share this video. See you on the next one.